The golden child got mountains of presents, while I got a box of colored pencils and a last-minute cake for my birthday. Growing up in my family, the divide was crystal clear. My younger sister, Ava, was the golden child, and I was the scapegoat. My parents never said it outright, of course, but their actions screamed it. Ava was their sun, their shining star, while I was the cloudy day they barely noticed. It started when we were kids. Ava was born 3 years after me, and from the moment she arrived, she was treated like a little princess. I remember my mom's beaming face as she cooed over baby Ava, while I sat quietly in the corner with my coloring book. "She's going to be something special," my dad would say, pride dripping from his voice. I don't think he ever said that about me. Ava's charm seemed to come effortlessly. She had this infectious giggle, bright blonde curls, and big green eyes that sparkled whenever she spoke. Everyone loved her: teachers, neighbors, relatives. Meanwhile, I was the quiet one with plain brown hair and a tendency to stay out of the way. If Ava was the glitter, I was the gray background. One memory sticks out vividly. I was 8, and it was Ava's 5th birthday party. My parents went all out. A princess-themed bash with a pony for rides, a massive cake shaped like a castle, and an entertainer dressed as a fairy. The whole neighborhood was there. For my birthday earlier that year, I'd gotten a store-bought cake, a pack of colored pencils, and a happy birthday sung half-heartedly during dinner. I didn't say anything at the time, but even as a child, I felt the sting of unfairness. By the time I was a teenager, the favoritism was impossible to ignore. Ava was showered with opportunities and praise, while I was met with indifference at best, criticism at worst. When Ava decided she wanted to try ballet, my mom immediately enrolled her in the best dance school in town, bought her the most expensive leotards, and attended every single recital with tears of pride in her eyes. When I expressed an interest in art, I got a cheap sketchbook from the dollar store and a lecture about how drawing wasn't a real hobby. "You should try something more useful," my dad said dismissively. "Not everyone's meant to be an artist." I worked hard to excel in school, hoping that good grades would finally earn me some recognition. But even that was overshadowed by Ava. When I brought home a report card full of A's, my parents barely glanced at it before returning their attention to Ava's latest dance routine. One time, Ava got a B+ in math, and you'd think she just won an Olympic medal. My mom hugged her tightly, saying, "We're so proud of you for trying your best, sweetie." Meanwhile, I was told that my straight A's were expected. It wasn't just the lack of praise, it was the blame too. Ava could do no wrong. If something went missing, it was because I'd misplaced it. If she was in a bad mood, it was because I'd upset her. One particularly painful memory comes to mind. Ava had borrowed my favorite book without asking and left it outside, where it got ruined in the rain. When I confronted her about it, she burst into tears, claiming she hadn't meant to. My mom rushed to comfort her while scolding me for making a big deal out of nothing. "She's your little sister," my mom said sternly. "You should be setting a better example." Holidays were their own unique brand of hell. Christmas, for example, was Ava's time to shine. She'd always get the best gifts: designer clothes, expensive gadgets, and whatever trendy item she'd set her sights on that year. One Christmas, I got a secondhand sweater and a book I'd already read, while Ava unwrapped a brand new phone and a pair of custom ballet shoes. My parents didn't even try to hide the favoritism. "Ava's been working so hard this year," my mom said, as if that justified the imbalance. Halloween wasn't much better. Ava's costumes were always elaborate and store-bought, while mine were thrown together from whatever we had lying around. One year, she was a stunning fairy princess, complete with glittering wings and a tiara, while I was stuck as a makeshift ghost in an old sheet with holes cut out for eyes. To make matters worse, when Ava threw a tantrum after dropping her candy bucket, my parents blamed me for not helping her enough. Family occasions, too, were just another stage for Ava to steal the spotlight. During my cousin's wedding, Ava accidentally spilled red wine on the bride's dress. Rather than hold her accountable, my parents turned their anger on me, accusing me of not keeping an eye on her. I wasn't even near her when it happened. Ava, of course, cried and played the victim, and I ended up being the one apologizing to the bride. By the time I hit 16, I'd stopped trying to compete for their attention. I focused on my own little world, reading, writing, and dreaming of the day I could leave home. But even then, the favoritism followed me like a shadow. When Ava decided she wanted to go to a prestigious summer camp for dance, my parents scraped together the money to send her. When I asked if I could attend a creative writing workshop, I was told it was too expensive and that I should focus on something practical. The emotional toll was immense. I started to believe that maybe I really wasn't worth their love. I'd lie awake at night, wondering what was so wrong with me. Why didn't I deserve the same kindness, the same attention? I couldn't help but resent Ava, even though deep down, I knew it wasn't her fault. She didn't ask to be the golden child any more than I asked to be the scapegoat. One of the lowest points came during my senior year of high school. I'd worked tirelessly to earn a scholarship to my dream college, pouring hours into studying and extracurriculars. When I finally got the acceptance letter, I was over the moon. I ran into the kitchen, waving the letter excitedly, and blurted out the news. My dad barely looked up from his phone. "That's great, but have you thought about how much it's going to cost?" he said. Before I could respond, Ava waltzed in, talking about some minor role she'd gotten in a school play. My parents' faces lit up as they showered her with congratulations. My news was forgotten in an instant. I stood there, clutching the letter, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut.